Waylon Lewis, IamElephant.com, and I'm here to introduce Governor Bill Ritter, who is speaking right up the hill at the University of Colorado about environmental issues. He's an awesome guy. He won 56% of the vote in a Republican state. We now have a Democratic governor, Democratic legislature. I met him a year ago, or a couple years ago. No one thought he had a chance to win, and he's a great guy, as you'll see. So enjoy. Coming to you not live from Folsom Street Cafe.
I'd like to recognize the students for their vision and foresight in this activity. I think this is just one more representation of our students' desire to walk the walk and talk the talk of climate control and sustainability. It also gives me great pleasure today, and I'm honored to be able to introduce to you the person that's really at the center of our efforts, our statewide efforts, and will help make that commitment a reality, Governor Bill Ritter from Colorado. In the past year he's been in office, Governor Ritter has set a bold agenda for Colorado for higher education and for the environment. He's a champion of sustainability, and I've been delighted to be able to work with him over this past year. He's a big supporter of CU, despite the fact that he got his undergraduate degree from Colorado State. He is a graduate of the CU Law School. But I've been impressed with how Governor Ritter combines his ideals with a pragmatic approach to governing. And I look forward to continuing to work with him in this and many other initiatives. Governor Ritter.
Thanks. Thank you and good morning. It's great to be here. We came up the back way, so we got here actually on time. We came through, my wife was coming here for a breakfast. She left at 6:30. At 8 o'clock in the morning, she was still on Highway 36. So we came up 6th Avenue and across on 93. Got here, got to go by the wind farm, that the experimental wind farm on 93, which is always a pleasure for a person like me to see. We have had some interesting events in the last year in Colorado. It is a place with great wind, great sun. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but when we announced our renewable energy bill, we did that out at that experimental wind farm, and the wind did not blow. So we went to the San Luis Valley to open up one of the biggest solar plants in America, and the sun did not shine, but the wind did blow. And so it was no surprise to us that we'd have a teach-in on global warming and come to a place in 12-degree weather. It's just part of Colorado, but like the Chancellor said in his remarks, this is such an important issue. I want to add my thanks to all of the students and faculty on this campus who were involved in setting this up. This is really a historic event, and the fact that there are 43 of these events just across the state of Colorado, maybe 1,700 of them nationwide, I think demonstrates how far the country's come, and recognizing what an extraordinary challenge and really at the same time an opportunity global warming presents for us. When I was running for office, you get a lot of political advice, right? You have consultants and they talk to you about things. There was no consultant that said to me, you need to make climate change an issue in the state of Colorado. Partly that's because they look at opinion surveys. But I was looking at issues that really have to do with substantive issues we face as challenges in Colorado. So I was at a place called the Colorado Water Congress. A lot of fairly conservative people there. And at that Congress, unbeknownst to my campaign, and I don't suggest you try this if you're a candidate, not tell your campaign what you're about to do, I announced that I was going to not only put in place a climate action advisor inside the governor's office for the first time in the history of the state of Colorado, but that we were going to really make climate change an issue as we went forward. I did that. I made it a campaign issue. What we've seen, it was really fascinating, and I don't take credit for this at all. So I'm not telling this story to say these two things connect. We've seen a 20-point shift in how Coloradans feel about global warming in a 2-year period. For those of you who venture over in the political science world once in a while, you'll understand a 20-point shift in public opinion on any issue in that point in time, in that measure of time, 2 years, is seismic. It's really a significant shift in how people feel. And I have to credit, quite frankly, Al Gore for some of that. I don't think that's all of it, but I think that's certainly part of it. I think Al Gore understood that he needed to use a medium, and the mass media and the film industry is something Americans very much respond to. And I think the inconvenient truth probably had something to do with that. But what we do know is that people feel differently today in Colorado than they did 2 years ago about this, and it is, I think, a growing awareness about this as an issue. And we'll talk about some of the things that we've done government to respond, but it's good to frame in that way that we really have moved in the right direction here. I can remember I went on a holiday vacation, the end of 2005, beginning of 2006. I'd filed my papers to run for governor in May of 2005. And I was up in the mountains, but we were listening to NPR, and there was a story on NPR about how the President of the United States deputy press secretary said that, well, global warming is not backed by hard science. There's as much science on the other side of it. And I literally looked at my wife and said, I need to go back to work. I need to go start campaigning again. Forget this vacation. I mean, if we have the Deputy Press Secretary of the United States of America saying things like that, imagine this was now December of 2005, a short 2 years ago, where they were saying that there wasn't scientific evidence to back it, and the United States was not participating in some very significant kinds of happenings around the world. And you know, or they were participating as observers and not really as advocates. Well, I think things have changed, and I think this notion that around the country there are 1,700 events like this one today is one way to measure that. In Colorado, we rely very heavily on agriculture and tourism. So when we talk about global warming, there's a lot of people who think about it sort of in the abstract. It means something very significant to us as a state beyond just, you know, the prospect of there being change over time in our climate. Make a great deal of difference in our economy over time as well. And really, if you think about it, the second and third biggest sectors in Colorado are agriculture and tourism. Both of them rely very much on the amount of precipitation. Tourism, the ski industry, very much on the form of precipitation. And it really gives us another way to talk about this that's about the economy, and the Colorado economy being something that could change over time and be impacted over time if we don't address this. I also said in these remarks that it presents us with some opportunities. You say, well, what kind of opportunities are there for this? Well, we think that we have the ability here to build forward and really look at global warming as a challenge and say, but we can really mount environmental security, energy security, and economic security if we react in the right way. This carbon fund that we announced in our State of the State address is going to be an important part of that. Thinking about ways, utilizing that carbon fund to inspire clean energy and to really reduce the carbon footprint. This $50,000 gift that you announced, Chancellor Peterson, really, again, demonstrates the enlightenment of the students here at this campus, and it demonstrates, I think, the leadership that this campus takes on important issues like this. And I want you to, once again, give yourself a round of applause for you as a group of students understanding how important this is and giving us $50,000 to the carbon fund. It really makes a difference. We talked about this in terms of economic security. I want to just tell you a little bit about the last year. This is the great part about being governor. You'll always have critics. No matter how well you do, you're going to have critics. A year ago, our critics were saying, well, they're really overpromising this renewable energy thing. Now the critics are saying, well, they've done a lot, but that was all low-hanging fruit. And they're the same people, right? They're the same people. And that's folks just out there kind of taking shots at you. The fact of the matter is, if it was low-hanging fruit, somebody else would have picked it.